My voice matters.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Merrill, and this is our So Let's Be Friends podcast. This is a place where everyone belongs, and every story matters. Together we celebrate our differences, bring awareness to disabilities, and build a more inclusive and supportive world. One conversation at a time, let's open our hearts and listen with kindness.
I like when people ask me about my crutches because they can get to know me, and I like having friends, so let's be friends.
This life is beautiful, and you are wonderful.
Today's episode is incredibly special. I get to sit down not just as a podcast host, but as Charlotte's mom. You've been hearing Charlotte's voice, but today we get to know her more. We get to know her journey, her heart, and the people who have inspired her, like the powerful advocate, Judith Heumann, whose legacy has helped us along our path to find our voice. So let's begin. Charlotte, can you tell us more about yourself in your own words? We would like to know, what are some things you love and enjoy?
Well, I'm Charlotte, and I like being with friends and family and being.
But what are some things you like? Where are you going to college for? What are your favorites?
I am going into college for acting, and I want to be on stage. I love acting, and I'm really good at memorizing ever since I could talk.
She's great at memorizing, that's for sure. Ever since she could talk, because she started taking speech therapy, and so she would memorize things to help her get through the world. And so putting sign language and words together, she became a great memorizer. She can give 20-minute speeches memorized. So, and she has been in lots of plays already. She's been in high school plays and community plays, and she even was able to do some college plays. So
Yes.
it's her favorite to be, and she likes to make a difference.
And I also got to help backstage, but I prefer acting.
She likes being in front of stage, not just backstage, she said.
Yes.
So we like that about her. Okay.
Yes.
But she also likes basketball and swimming.
Yes.
And puzzles. She finished her very first puzzle this week for the first time.
Wizard of Oz.
Yep. She had friends helping her. She can't quite do a puzzle by herself, but being with friends and putting a puzzle together is a favorite. So
Yes.
Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, so what's something you wish people understood better about you?
Wait.
Charlotte, what is something you wish people understood better about you? Well, for example, right now, processing, right?
Yes.
Do you do things a little slower than others?
Yeah.
She does things a little bit slower,
Yes.
and that helps other people to understand that she's just going to move slower and think a little bit slower, right?
Yeah.
But what? Do you get to the same place they do?
Yes.
She does. She wants to go
Yes.
to the same place. Like she went to Young Single Adults last night and had a good time, right?
Playing pickleball.
She played pickleball. Was it hard to play pickleball?
Yeah.
Were you very good at it? No.
No.
Probably chased a lot of balls, or people chased them for you because it's hard, right? But
Yeah.
that's okay.
But I am doing it a lot better.
Why are you doing it a lot better?
Because practice.
Just practicing just like everyone else. So
Practice makes perfect.
yeah, but we're not aiming for perfect. But yes,
No.
That is a true phrase, but it's not my favorite phrase. But we do, even if you have a disability, the more you practice at
Let's
something.
just say practice makes amazing.
Practice makes you amazing. That's even better.
Makes you amazing.
Okay, well, when you think about your story, what moments have shaped you the most?
What moments?
What moments have shaped you the most?
Like,
Has cerebral palsy helped you to be who you are?
yes. cerebral palsy has made me who I am. Like,
You're so good at this, Charlotte. You're inspiring to all of us. So I remember I shared a story with you guys not that long ago about when I wanted to make a wish, because I was offered 3 wishes, just in a game. And I wanted to wish her disease away. And she told me I wasn't allowed to wish her disease away because her disease made her who she was. And why is that?
Because it's made me who I am, and I don't know where would I be without my disease.
That's a good comment. It's a hard comment for some of us to understand, but when we went to go get her CT together today for her foot, because she has her foot in a boot because she broke it, and that's just another thing to add to her life right now, having a disability in a boot, put her back in a wheelchair, and that's been frustrating. But I really liked what someone said there, is that she was telling me some of her trials. She's had some hard trials, but she said, but I take my trials over other people's trials. We're given trials that and I don't want to say that we can handle, because in the beginning we can't handle the trials. I think we get built stronger through the trials, right? Yes. But our trials and our disabilities make us who we are. And I don't know that she would want somebody else's trial or disability. I don't know. That's how I feel. I know having a disability is hard, and it would be better if it just went away.
Yeah.
But Charlotte, you're tough.
Yes.
And I know having 3...
You made me who I am.
I didn't make you who you are. You made you who you are.
Well, you helped me.
I try to help
the
you.
Way.
Yes.
And here I am.
Yep. And I was given 3 children. Out of my 6 children, 3 of them have a disability. And I know when I first got married to my husband, to your dad, I wasn't the most patient person. And I know having 3 children with a disability has taught me lots of patience. And that is a skill that I've learned and acquired because of a trial, because of disabilities, right? So we become stronger and become better through our trials. Charlotte, what helps you to stay hopeful when things feel hard?
What I will do to stay hopeful when things get hard? Well,
do you pray?
Yes, I like praying. I pray a lot. And take a deep breath. Like, just take a moment to myself and just move right along. And nothing's hard for me.
Nothing's hard for you.
Well, it is hard for me.
It's
but
hard.
I go through it.
She goes through it. I like that. So when you're, having a hard time, and something that helps you to be hopeful is you pray and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And just sometimes go be by yourself.
Yes.
Yes. What about, do you talk to people?
Yes, I talk to people. Like, I talk to my mom when I need someone to talk to.
And I think that's important. We shouldn't stay alone or stay by ourselves. We need to find someone to talk to when we're feeling like things are really hard and heavy, right?
Yeah.
And the people around us can feel hopeful, having friends and people around us.
Yeah.
Good.
Like, a lot of people can help us, lift us up, and if we fall or if we do anything, we just get right back up.
Yep, that's actually an important thing to understand.
And of course, like, you won't do it right then, but later in life you will.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get back up right in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to stay there for a minute and feel it, and then pray for that hope and get back up again.
Yeah.
Good. Has your faith helped you on your journey? And if so, how?
Well, my faith has helped me.
Well, you've done some public speaking on this. Don't you have a favorite quote?
My favorite quote is, faith and fear cannot coexist at the same time. So I chose faith.
Yeah, she chose faith, and I think that's huge. Do you like to live in fear?
No.
If you lived in fear, what would happen? Would you have ever tried to walk with crutches?
No.
Because you'd have been too scared?
It will kind of destroy you down.
It will destroy you down. Yeah, it'll take you down if you live in fear, right?
Yeah, like you can't see faith.
You can't see faith, right?
No.
Did you know you were ever able to get up and walk with your crutches even?
No.
No? But what did you have to do?
I practiced.
She was 12 years old. Didn't know if she was ever going to be able to walk. But she told me one day that I want to have faith. I want to do this. And we got her some forearm crutches and she practiced. And it didn't happen right away. It took her a long time. We even had friends come over with her. I don't know if you remember this, but we'd have friends stand 10 feet apart because it was more fun with friends. And you would walk in between them back and forth. And it started 5 feet, 10 feet. And we would practice this.
Yeah.
I was fun, but not as fun as her friends, right?
You're still fun.
Oh, thank you. I try to be. Okay. All right, Charlotte. What does the message, love one another, mean to you in your life?
Love one another means like no one gets left behind, like or forgotten. Like there's 3 movies that I like the message in from it, like from Trolls and from Lion King and Lilo and Stitch. Like no one gets left behind or forgotten. Like everyone should be included. And it's important to love yourself. If you can't love yourself, how will you love others?
I think that's important. I love that. What wise wisdom. You know, I didn't even start to understand that until I was in my 30s, that I had to love myself. Because if I couldn't love myself, I couldn't love others. That is one of my favorite scriptures, right? That he tells us to love one another as I have loved you. Or how does he say it? Love others.
Love others.
Like yourself, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't love yourself, then how are you supposed to love others?
Yeah.
But it doesn't say only some people. That's the most important part. We love one another.
Everybody.
Everybody, yes.
No one gets left behind.
You've become a voice for inclusion and friendship. How did that start for you?
Well, for a long time, I prayed for a best friend. I didn't get invited to birthday parties. I didn't feel like I had a voice. Sometimes I felt left out, or not just physically, but emotionally too. But I always believed in kindness, and I believed that friendships can change everything. So it started just trying to be someone who welcomes others and speaks up, and sometimes not right. In junior high, my best friend that I prayed for moved in next door, and my family began Special Olympics Unified Team. I didn't know at that time, but that was just beginning of becoming an activist.
An advocate. That's a tough word, right? I know that's a word.
Yeah.
She's been practicing to say that word for today. It's a hard word, advocate.
Yeah. Advocate. And then I learned about Judith Heumann with my mom, and I felt something light inside of me. she said something I hold in my heart. The fight for justice.
It's hard. This is emotional, but this quote is important. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Can you say that quote again, the fight?
Yeah.
You want me to say it? She's getting pretty emotional. This is hard. The fight for justice. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again because I'm getting emotional too. The fight for justice and inclusion is never finished, but each voice makes it stronger. And what did that help you to realize when you heard Judith Heumann say that? The fight for justice and inclusion is never finished, but each voice makes it stronger. What did that help you?
That helped me realize my voice matters, that I matter, and that others like me need to hear that too. So that's why I started speaking up, because I want people to know they belong and as they are. And as they are.
Charlotte, thank you. I know that wasn't easy to get through. That's a special quote to her. Well, we've talked about Judith Heumann.
Can I say that quote again?
Yeah, say that quote again.
The fight for justice and inclusion is never finished, but each voice that makes it stronger.
Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome.
Each voice, that means not just us. That doesn't mean just Charlotte. That means each voice. That means everyone. I hope other people get encouraged to advocate and stand up for themselves and to say what they need and not just stay quiet in a basement and hide. We need to be coming out and being proud of ourselves, being proud of who we are, right, Charlotte?
Yes.
Good. Well, we've talked a little bit about Judith Heumann, introducing her. She has an excellent book out there called Being Human. That's how we discovered her. I think it was Charlotte's speech therapist, who's an amazing woman. We just love her. She just retired.
Yeah.
But she introduced us to Judith Heumann. She was looking through things and anyway sent us a book called Being Human. It's a play on her own name.
Human.
Yep, Heumann. I think I spelled that right. But yeah, Being Human's an excellent book, and it teaches, and so we read that together as a family, actually, not just me, not just Charlotte, but as a family, and that really taught us a lot. So what do you admire about Judith Heumann?
There's so much I admire about her. She was strong, she was bold, and never stopped speaking up. What inspires me the most is that she didn't just advocate for herself. She
made space, didn't she?
She made space for
others, right?
For others to be seen and heard.
Yeah, it gave you a moment to realize.
Yeah.
Because it was scary, right? It was scary to be speaking up for ourselves, to sit in IEP meetings and say that's not okay when they just wanted to put you on a beanbag in a classroom by yourself, right?
Yeah.
With a teacher and an aide. That wasn't okay.
No.
So
right.
What's the other quote that you really like? Do you want me to read the quote? We wrote it there so we say it correctly because quotes are important.
She once said, disability becomes a tragedy when...
Wait, say that again. You forgot the word only, because this is really important. That's why we wrote this quote down. Go ahead, read it again.
She once said, disabilities only becomes a tragedy when society fails to provide the things we need to lead our lives.
Okay, I'm going to say that one more time because it's hard to understand the very first time you hear it, okay?
Yeah.
Disability only becomes a tragedy. That means disability is not a tragedy. We weren't born in tragedy, okay? Right? Everybody's treasured, everybody's loved. But disability only becomes a tragedy when society fails to provide the things we need to live our lives. So, and that kind of goes for everybody in this world. We realized we needed roads. So people created roads, right? To travel the United States and to get around. When we need something to lead our lives, we need stores.
Like transportation.
Transportation, we need these things. As regular human beings,
railings.
Right? Yeah, just regular things. But disability becomes a tragedy, just like for anybody. When society fails to provide those things, we need to lead our lives, right?
Yeah.
So what happened, Charlotte? How do you feel now about that?
That changed the way I saw myself. I am not a burden.
That was huge to understand, right?
She didn't see the disability as something broken. She saw injustice and wanted to fix it.
That's my favorite, Charlotte. I love how you said that one too.
I also love how she said, the fight for justice and inclusion is never finished, but each voice makes it stronger. Her legacy gives me strength to keep going even when it's hard.
That's right, Charlotte. And something that came to my mind while you're talking about all that, because I don't think a lot of people know who Judith Heumann is. Hopefully people will look her up and start to understand. She was the leader for civil rights for special needs, for those with handicap. And in 1990, she actually created the IDEA for schools, where children, big kids, started having to get to be allowed in the classrooms. They weren't to be separated off into separate buildings anymore. They were supposed to be allowed in the classrooms and allowed in education like everybody else. That was in 1990. Then a few years later, in the early 90s, this is the part that just gives me chills. Like the ADA, the American Disability Act, came about, right? That was the early 90s. And what happened? Do you want to share that story? It's all over the news. You can look.
In the 1990s.
What did Judith Heumann do?
Like at the state capitol in
Washington, D.C., right? The big capital.
Washington, D.C.
Not state, but the...
Yeah. Washington, D.C.
She and lots of others, what did they do?
She and lots of others, left all their equipment down bottom of...
What kind of equipment? People that don't have disabilities don't know what equipment means.
Like wheelchairs, like motorized wheelchairs. And
what do you get around with? What's your equipment too, besides
crutches and walkers and
gait trainers, right?
Yes.
They were all left at the bottom of the stairs at the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
And then all of them
she gathered
climbed on top of the stairs.
They climbed and dragged themselves up the stairs to get into the building.
They climbed and dragged up
the steep stairs.
The steep stairs into the White House.
To the White House or the Capitol. Either one, it makes a pretty big point, doesn't it?
Yes.
And so what happened after that? What did they prove? And they actually stayed there for a while and they couldn't leave because they couldn't get back down the stairs. So what happened? What was formed? What did they have to start doing after that act and that law? What went into place? What did they
ramps and railings.
Ramps and railings. Oh my gosh, life-changing. Disability only becomes a tragedy when society fails to provide the things we need to lead our lives. So now they're at the top of the stairs. They couldn't get back down.
No.
It was pretty much impossible. So they had to figure out how to help these people lead their lives so disability wasn't a tragedy. So from there on out, ADA became a thing.
Disabilities is not a tragedy.
No. We just got to figure it out just like everyone else. When they need a road, build a road. If you need a ramp, put a ramp in. If you need a handicap bar in the bathroom stall so you don't fall into the toilet, put a thing in there. Okay. Right? And then Charlotte. Okay. There's another story. Do you want to talk about the junior high? What happened when you got to the junior high?
What happened when I got to the junior high?
And this was in 2000. So this is, a decade or so later. Almost 20 years later. 20 years later. Okay, what happened? From ADA.
The
school said...
When I was in junior high, does like PE and everything that I need to do, like in junior high.
Well, the school asked me specifically, they said, can your daughter go to the bathroom by herself and can she get dressed by herself? And I said, absolutely. We've worked really hard on this with physical therapy, occupational therapy. We worked hard by the time she could get to the junior high so she could change her clothes in PE and be able to go to the bathroom by herself. Yes. And then what happened?
And then when I got there, no railing.
No railing, but she didn't think to advocate for herself. She didn't know any better. So then she just wasn't getting dressed. She wasn't able to go to the bathroom. She had to have help. And then the school called me and said, well, I thought she could do this by herself. And I'm like, well, she can. And it didn't even dawn on me that the school would not put handicap rails in the bathrooms or in the dressing room. So when I went down there to the school to look with Charlotte, I said, what's going on, Charlotte? We looked in there and she's like, what did you say? There's what?
No railing.
No railing to hold on to. So she was trying to hold on the toilet paper roll and falling over and
breaking the toilet paper roll.
So that became a tragedy. So then
and trying to avoid falling in the toilet.
Trying to avoid falling in the toilet. So basically
that was a tragedy, but the only way we can fix it is advocate.
Thank you. So what did you do?
We advocated.
Well, what did you do?
I said, there's no railings.
And can you put railings in here?
Yes.
And they actually had to do it quickly because that was actually against the law. It was really interesting. And that kind of happened through all the schools, in the elementary schools too. So we've learned our lesson. And Charlotte, since then, she's just really learned to advocate because she'd rather not fall. So I just thought that was really interesting.
I'd rather do things that helps me and helps others like me, like you guys.
Yeah, like people that are listening, exactly.
Yeah.
So
not
Charlotte,
just me.
It helps others. When you lead the way,
Yes.
It helps others, even if it's embarrassing and scary, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, how has Judith's fight for disability rights inspired our family, you, to speak up or push forward? How's it helped you? Before you knew about Judith Heumann, what happened? Before we learned about her and studied her as a family, what happened? Want me to share a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So before we knew about Judith Heumann, we were just trying to get through each day. And I would be taking plates of cookies and begging the schools and society for inclusion. I remember trying to get my kids in dance, and it was really hard to find a dance class. And I would bring cookies, and just somebody would accept my daughter. And I remember finding a place in a nearby city, and I was so grateful that they just let my daughter be on stage. And they actually dressed in black and would stand behind her and hold her. And they just found ways to adapt to help my daughter. If they didn't want her to be in the gate trainer dancing on stage, they found ways to dress in stage colors in the background and help her be a part. So I'm just grateful for those who are willing to do it. But yeah, really, I would show up at the offices of the schools with plates of cookies and just kind of beg for my children. That's how it started, right? And we were just doing our best. Okay.
But learning about her gave us a bigger picture. She showed us we're not alone and that we don't have to stay quiet when something is not right, and because we have a disability, we don't get included.
So we don't stay quiet when that happens, right?
No.
We do something about it, right? It gives us permission, right? So Judith, she doesn't ask permission anymore for about her disability. She doesn't ask permission. She just decided to take up space, right? And say something about it. And I thought that was huge.
She took up space and made the world listen.
What did that do, Charlotte?
Showed my family that we could do the same.
We didn't need to take a plate of cookies and beg people to have you belong, did we?
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
What could we ask for?
We could ask for ramps, speak up in classrooms, push for access and understanding. Most of all, we could tell our story, and that change doesn't start big. It starts with a small family, one one kind and one brave step at a time.
Yep, Charlotte, you're right. It starts with a family, one kid like you, and one brave step at a time. And you've been that brave step. Just even doing the podcast is really brave. I know it's been scary and hard for you, but you have felt really passionate about it the last 3 years wanting to do this. So we're taking that brave step. And we're hoping others will take that brave step with us, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's scary and emotional. So if you could talk to Judith today, what would you thank her for? What would you thank her for?
I actually got to meet Judith on Zoom during a leadership training. That was amazing. I still remember her voice and the way she made everyone feel seen. She didn't talk down to us. She spoke to us like we were powerful and had something to say that meant everything to me. If I could talk to her again, I would thank her for helping me to believe that my voice mattered. I would thank her for sharing us how to lead even when things are hard, and for reminding us all that inclusion isn't a favor, it's a right.
Say that part again. I think that's really important.
For
inclusion isn't a favor, it's a right. You want to say that again?
Inclusion isn't a favor, it's a right. Because of Judith, I didn't feel alone. She helped my family.
We feel part of something bigger, don't we? Do you believe that you can speak up?
I feel part of something bigger. She helped my family. Believed we could speak up and be strong and that we belong here. I would tell her thank you for being.
We're telling her thank you for being brave, right?
For being brave and teaching me to be brave too.
And I'm glad you're brave, Charlotte.
Thank you.
You helped me be brave. You know that, right? Okay.
You helped me to be wise.
Wise? Well, that's quite of a kind word for you to say to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Give you knowledge the best I can, and then you use that to do something with, and that makes you wise. That gives you wisdom.
Yeah.
That's important. What made you want to start this podcast, Charlotte?
What made me to start this podcast? Well, for one, to help others, like coming out of their box.
Wait, is there supposed to be a box?
No.
We talked about that.
Yes.
There should be no boxes, right?
No boxes.
Yes.
Like
so
everyone included.
Yep. So get out of your box and then kick it away, because there should be no boxes. It's not just thinking outside the box. It's climb out of the box and kick it away.
Yes. Like
no boxes.
Like
what? What were you gonna say? It's okay. Okay, but you did this podcast to just inform others, to help others, to bring awareness, right?
Yes.
And hopefully we're going to learn about how more to advocate in IEPs and hear a lot more from others. We have our speech therapist that wants to speak, actually our retired one and our new one who want to share and be interviewed on this.
A lot of people are waiting.
We have a waiting list. So many people are excited. Yep.
This podcast thing will be never ending.
Never ending, right?
Never ending.
We're doing it every other week. Okay, and in the in-between week, we're interviewing somebody. And then on that next week, it's being loaded up by Spotify and Apple and YouTube. It's been fun to see people be accepting of it and load it into their platforms.
Yes.
So, and then every so often, Charlotte thought we should, since we can't interview Judith Heumann because she passed away a couple years ago, and that was a sad day in March, a couple years ago. We were sad about that, so we decided that instead of only being human like her book, because that's her words, and I love that, and we encourage people to read it. We're going to have an acting human every so often week. So still her last name, Human, but we're going to do a play on words, and we're going to acting human. So we're going to talk about a way that we can act like Judith Heumann and advocate like she did in her example, right? But we're also going to act human. We all have rights. We deserve things. So we all need to act human together.
Yeah.
So this week is our Acting Human week in honor of Judith Heumann being human. And we're just going to teach people to advocate, how to stand up in IEPs, all the things. So if you have questions, please contact us. I will put our...
I would love to answer your questions if you have one.
I really like what she said. She's wise now, and she has lots of wisdom. She's gained lots of knowledge and experience over the years, and she's been hurt and beaten up and cried and gotten back up, like she said.
Yeah. Don't be scared and afraid and being nervous to speak up and ask questions.
Yes. So reach out, ask questions.
I've done the same thing too. So I feel you.
So we'll put some information in the memos below as we're still learning all of this. So that way you can contact us. We're on Facebook as well. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to a couple more things and close up. Okay? Because we got to go do horse therapy. We have people that come over and do horse therapy with us if you're close by and ever want to join us. So what do you hope people feel when they listen to So Let's Be Friends? What do you want people to feel out there?
To feel amazing and also to feel like they belong and they want to keep going and also don't give up.
Don't give up. We love you. We want you to feel loved.
We love you. We love all of you. It's important
to feel loved.
Love one another. Love everybody.
Thank you. What does inclusion look like to you? Not just in words, but action.
Actions.
Want me to share a quick story?
Yeah.
Something I've learned as a mother of children with disabilities. There was a long time when I just apologized. I would say sorry for being in the way. And a good example was, going grocery shopping or going to the mall. And I remember and there's been lots of situations, but one specific one that really stood out to me. And I know it has nothing to do with this company, but we were at Bath & Body Works, and the aisles were small, and we're trying out the new scents and things like that. And I had 2 wheelchairs because I've
tried to have fun.
We're trying to have fun, just doing our thing like everybody else. Yep, like others. And I had 2 wheelchairs and a gait trainer because we were trying to teach Charlotte to walk, so she was in the big gait trainer. And they're clunky and they're big, but they're helping us.
While my other 2,
we're in wheelchairs.
Younger than me.
Hadn't learned how to get upright yet. We were still working on it, right? So we were taking up a whole aisle. And I had somebody, a guy from Bath & Body Works, so kind of goes on him. I don't know his name, and I'm sorry for him, and hopefully he learned. But nothing against Bath & Body Works, please. It just was where we had our experience.
Yes,
they were wonderful. Please. So
nothing against them.
Yes, we like them. Okay, so we were in the aisle, and the guy that worked there came and asked us to leave because we were blocking the aisle. We were making it hard for other people to come look at the things. And we were a family. We were actually loading up the basket. We were trying all the scents because we like to get them for our teachers and tell them thank you and, hope that they like us, right? Trying to do all the things. And they asked us to leave. And right away, I said I was sorry. I was sorry for being in the way. And I started to realize after a while that my kids were more important than that. I didn't need to say I was sorry for their existence. I didn't
need to do that anymore.
Yeah, I didn't need to say.
No more sorry that you're in the way.
Yeah. Like what Judith said. She said she didn't ask for permission more. She just took up space. So I realized that day, that's why that moment, because it happened lots of times, not just there. But that moment stands out to me as I wasn't going to apologize for being in the way anymore. I wasn't going to apologize for my children's existence. I quit saying sorry. And I changed it because you can say a similar thing because it is hard when we bump into people and, people's toes get ran over by a wheel, or we're not trying to do that thing. We're just trying to be out there. So instead I learned to say, thank you for being patient. And that really helps soften people to understand, this is hard. It'd be easier to stay at home. It'd be easier to stay on the couch. It'd be easier to stay in the basement and just stay away from the world and not get out there.
And yet it will be harder, like for health-wise.
It'd be harder for
everything.
health-wise and depression
So-
and being by yourself.
So it will be harder in both ways.
Harder in both ways. So we decided to be out there in the world. And so instead of saying, I'm sorry for our existence, I just tell people, thank you for being patient, and we keep moving. And it's helped people, I think, to be a little bit kinder and more patient with us when we thank them for being patient.
Yes.
So that has been huge. So what does inclusion look like to you? Not just in words?
But inclusion,
That to me, that was being in action. And I
Yeah.
think that's important.
Like-
Thanking people for their patience.
like,
And just keep being in space. Keep taking that space up and moving along. So what would you say to someone who doesn't feel seen or included?
like last night, like I went to young single adults for game night activity and playing pickleball, and I love playing pickleball, and we took turns playing against a team. We took turns.
And so that was an act of inclusion. They
Yes.
included you. It wasn't
Like-
just talking about it. They actually involved you, and it was an action. And I think that's
Like-
good.
They, like, no one, like, sometimes you don't realize you're doing the right thing until,
It just becomes natural.
yeah, it becomes natural. Like,
It was fun. They came home and everyone had so much fun, right?
yeah.
So then they came home from the activity and a bunch of young single adults came over too, and we ate barbecue sandwiches and French fries and all that at 9
Sloppy
o'clock.
Joes.
Sloppy Joes, yes, at 9 o'clock at our home. And it was so fun because that's an action. All the
Yes.
friends followed her home, gave her a ride home, and then they all hung out to eat. And so that is inclusion
We
in
have
action.
so much places to hang out afterwards.
And
But,
we were lucky they chose our house this time.
yeah.
So that's in action.
So I don't feel left out.
Well, it wasn't just for Charlotte feeling
Yeah.
left out, because it's become natural, like you said. Nobody has to
Yeah.
think about it anymore. Once you're in action, inclusion becomes natural. And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to
Yeah.
erase the gray line.
I like that. I really love that.
Well, let's get to our last question.
Inclusion becomes natural.
Inclusion becomes natural. You don't have to think about it.
Nope.
Perfect.
Just do it like last night.
Just do it like last night with your friends.
Yep.
So, someone that doesn't feel a part of things like that, like last night, what would you say to someone who doesn't feel seen or included?
Well,
Come hang out with Charlotte. She'll make sure you're seen or
Yes.
included. Reach out to
Okay.
us.
yeah, don't be afraid. Like, I would help you to feel included, and I will not let you feel left out. But
She's right. But if you can't get a hold of Charlotte, which you can, just reach out to her.
yes,
And she would love to get on a Zoom and make a friend. This is important to her. She loves to have friends all over the
I
world.
like making new friends.
That's what keeps us strong and included together.
Yes.
So thank you. Charlotte, you teach me something every day about strength. Do you know that? About love and about what really matters. Thank you for sharing your voice with the world. I know Judith Heumann would be very proud of you. I know God is proud of you, and so am I. Let's keep growing, let's keep going, and let's keep being friends.
So let's be friends.